Hello and Happy New Year to everybody. Today we take a look at a new product from Amo Mig Jimenez, the U-Rust Corrosion Creator Set. If you've been following the content on my channel, you already know that I use a lot of Amo products. Nevertheless, this video is not sponsored by them and I had to pay for this set out of my own pocket. Anyway, when I first saw this product I was pretty excited. After all, I've been working on my post-apocalypse diorama for a few months now and this set would come in handy. Let's start with the unboxing and first take a look at this heavy and solid box. On this side we see all the liquids which are included. I show them later in more detail. Here is an example of a fuel drum that is also part of the manual. Here are the different reactor types in action. I will go into more detail later on how to use them. And last but not least we have another example, this time a tank turret. Let's take a look what is inside. Shake it baby, shake it. There you go, show us what you got. The first thing that pops out of the box is the manual or how to guide. The first page introduces this set and lists the content again. All pages are in English and Spanish. Here is how they did the fuel drum. Well, actually this page contains a mistake. But I cover that later on. That looks super nice. The next tutorial is a rusty tank turret. So if you're into abandoned tanks or that alike, this might be interesting for you. The next tutorial covers a rusty aircraft, this time using a powder instead of a liquid substance. This tutorial covers the black rust oxide, which looks great. I will try to replicate this example later in this video, but I'm also going to use the other liquid and demonstrate you their effects. Looks great in my eyes. Of course, these examples are always done by professional modelers. Not somebody like me who just stumble around the whole modeling stuff. So I hope I can replicate this at least a little bit, but probably using more my own methods as I like to experiment around. The last tutorial is about how to age statues or that kind of stuff with this set. That's about it. Let's take a closer look at all those different liquids. For this I prepared a few spoons and covered them with primer. The spoons are divided into 3 sections, because each color basically allows 3 different effects. The whole thing works with the so-called reactors, which initiate the oxidation and makes the base paste rust. How this stuff works is you put one of the base liquids onto your subject, that can be resin, plastic, wood or basically everything else, including your fingers, so it's a good advice to put some gloves on. Then you paint either reactor type 1 or type 2 or even both together over the dried base. The liquids usually dry within 20 minutes, but that depends on how much paste you put over the subject. For our little demonstration we are going to paint reactor type 1 in the upper section of the spoon. Reactor type 2 will be painted in the middle section. And a 50-50 ratio mix of both reactors will be painted in the lower section. So, let's get it started and let us take a look how each base liquids reacts with the reactors. Let's take a look how the spoons look after the base liquids have dried for around 20 minutes. This is rust oxide patina, which gives a rough grayish surface. It's probably not 100% dry yet. Here is how it looks after everything has dried for around 1 hour. Oxide grime is probably going to be the most popular color of this set, as it has this classic brown rust look people usually are looking for. The next color is black oxide, which is, well, black. This example isn't 100% dry yet, as you can see in the reflections. All of the colors dry matte. Black oxide transparent is actually the same. The manual says it protects underlying color better, so maybe this is useful for chipping or similar. I didn't see any difference after using it. Here is it compared to the black oxide. This one here can be used to mix with other colors or to create heavy textured rust. As a rule of thumb, we can say that the first reactor darkens the base color and activating the rust effect, giving a nice base layer for more intensive effects. The second reactor mostly lightens the color, which is nice for highlights. Mixing both reactors create the typical yellowish rust effect. Keep in mind that the results vary, because the oxidation happens randomly. With the reactors, we can control the oxidation a bit and give it a nice and realistic touch. Which isn't such a surprise, since it's real rust we are looking at. So far, so good. Let's take a look at the two remaining colors. And here is copper blue patina. The blue, greenish color is definitely different than the color from the other liquids. Last but not least is this powdered oxide. Unlike the other colors, this comes as a powder and must be mixed with water. The results are quite similar to the ones archived with oxide grime. For our own example, I'm going to use this halfway painted factory door and paint it with the black oxide as base color. The black oxide needs some more drying time than the other colors, so I let it dry for around 1 hour before continuing with the next step. On this side of the door I will follow more or less one of the tutorials from the guide. So I start by adding reactor type 1 to the lower section of the door. In the middle section I add reactor type 2. The interesting stuff about the reactors is, the more liquid you put on, the heavier the rust effect will be. So don't aim for a unified coat to create randomness. The two top sections gets painted with a mix of reactor type 1 and 2 in a 50-50 ratio. This is how it looks after all reactors have dried for around 2 hours. Well, not bad, but also not very realistic. But at least it's already better than the front side. Let's unify the different colors with a pump spray by adding reactor type 1 and directly after that reactor type 2. Well, at best not like this. Make sure you know how to use the tools you're using, not like me. This is how it looks after it has dried. Well, I sprayed too much over it. First try. Let's do it better now. This time I paint the front side of the door and use different colors like this oxide grime for the sections of the door. I use an old hard brush this time, as I feel this will result in a better texture on the end product. I mark some highlights using a small round brush and reactor type 2, which will result in light rust highlights. More highlights are added using a brass toothpick. Next I add reactor type 1 to the remaining spots. Here you can see how the reactors are drying. This is a time lapse of around 30 minutes, and this is basically the oxidation process which we are looking at now. It's more or less odorless, but please wear glasses and gloves when you work with the colors and reactors from this set. If you want to see more of this set and scale modeling in general, please consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like. Thank you very much. Even after a really long drying time, the reactors can still be added to create the desired effects. It's also possible to add another base color layer, but keep in mind that even the dried reactor will react with the newly added base colors, giving you the opportunity for some unique rust effects. I tried to add some enamel washes and rust streaks using oil colors, but without luck. Rust is matte and it will soak everything up you add. The only thing that really works are these weathering pencil, which I used to add some highlights using an aluminium color. So, what I think about this set? Well, it obviously can produce amazing results, at least compared to my attempts with other more traditional techniques. But I know other people with more experience who can produce stuff similar to this results. The big plus of the U-Rust set is that the painting process is fast, but you maybe don't have so much control over how the final product will look. This might be a problem if you don't plan to rust the whole piece you're working on, but for abandoned vehicles or similar this set is probably the go-to solution. It's easy to use, but it has a learning curve until you understand which colors works best. But the results can be stunning with a little training. The biggest negative point I can find is how these sets are sold. It's quite expensive and currently Ammo MIG doesn't sell the liquid separately. That means, you have to buy the whole set again when you run out of your favorite color. Most of the buyers will run out of the reactors fast, so that is a showstopper currently. I would recommend this set to people who are generally into rust builds and are looking for something fancy new. All others should wait until Ammo MIG sells the liquid separately and only buy the ones that they like to use. Don't misunderstand me, the results look great and if Ammo MIG sells the liquid separately, I don't see any reason why this isn't my go-to solution for bigger rust works. One last thing I like to mention is the mistake in the first tutorial of this how-to guide. The description and picture shows the deep oxide as base color, but actually oxide grime is used to produce the shown effect. This is extra annoying, because it's the first tutorial in this guide and a lot of people will be trusted by this. Ammo MIG should change this as soon as possible. Here I show you the result I had with the correct oxide grime base color. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.